A very good evening and welcome to the Imperial Hotel in Blackpool for continued live coverage of the 2018 World 8-Ball Pool Championships. Up next, the men's group game between Scotland and South Africa. We'll be providing split screen coverage all evening of the two tables that this match is being played on. On the left hand table, as we look at it, we've got Greg Gamlin from Scotland against Yadej Maharaj for South Africa. On the right hand table we've got Darren Matthew for Scotland against Lucas Venter for South Africa. Expecting a good contest here. Any match involving Scotland always has a lively atmosphere, particularly when played later on in the evening. Always bring some boisterous support with them. South Africans travelled from a bit further afield, can't muster quite the same numerical support, but make up for that with the team spirit. Important match for both teams. Scotland on the fringes of qualification for the knockout stages at the moment. They've won 5 of their first 8 matches. If they could secure victory here, that would push them right up the table and well in contention for the knockout stages. South Africa currently languishing towards the bottom of the table, 11th of the 12 nations represented at this year's event, with only 2 wins out of 8. Make no mistake there, they're a good team, the South Africans. That position in the table perhaps belies how good they are. They could certainly cause an upset here. Getting down to the action, Darren Matthew wasting no time on the right hand table, taking the yellow balls and getting about this very quickly, as he always does. Very imposing player, Darren Matthew. Plays quickly, pots everything in sight, scares most opponents half to death. Most teams like to lead with one of their stronger players to go out and get the job done early doors. Darren Matthew performing that role for Scotland. Well, the two matches broke off at pretty much the same time. But the left frame, about 2 balls have been potted. The right hand table, Darren Matthews won the frame already. So, first blood to Scotland as they take a 1-0 lead against South Africa. Can't read too much into that. It's a best of 21 frame match, plenty of action still to come, but it certainly doesn't help to get the first. Doesn't hurt to get the first frame on the board. Scotland as well, they're at the table in the shape of Greg Gamlin on the left, but not quite such a commanding position just yet. It's going to be Ketan Naidu for South Africa breaking off on the right hand side. So he sets the balls up. Taking a moment to find his break cue. Shakes hands with his opponent, Phil Craig from Scotland. Not had the best tournament so far, South Africa, but still time to make amends. Definite outsiders to qualify for the knockout stages, but stranger things have happened. Still just about mathematically got enough games in hand if they could go on a big run here. The format, as it has been in recent years, is that 6 teams will go through to the knockout stages. The top 2 teams will qualify for the semi-finals as of right. The teams ranked 3rd to 6th in the standings will play off for the remaining 2 places. So it's a pretty big incentive to qualify 1 and 2, because you're assured of place in the knockout stages. You don't risk having to go through that playoff game where anything can happen. It is, as it's been on so many occasions, England and Wales currently heading the table. England having won 9 from 9 so far, look to pretty much have sewed up their qualification. Wales we saw win earlier on against France. Hard fought victory, but a good and important victory for them, so they're very much closing in on second place. But the places from 3 to 6 are definitely still up for grabs. Scotland is one of the teams with a good chance of getting through to that stage. It's about to say the South Africans closing in on their first frame victory, but Yadesh Maharaj has just overcut the black over on the left table. Allowed Greg Gamlin back in. And not only has he overcut the black, but he's also knocked it into a pretty safe position. So Greg Gamlin in no rush to do anything. Not the ideal position this for Yadesh, because if he leaves the black tied up, which in a sense he needs to, because otherwise Greg might clear up, it's hard for him to win the frame. But if he opens the frame up, then all the yellows already go, so that's not great either. Case if you pays your money and you takes your choice. You can either lay the gauntlet down, or you can try and keep things tight for the time being. Opts to keep things tight. It's a decent enough shot, but the problem is he's just not putting Greg under any pressure, and indeed it's difficult to put him under any pressure because he's got so many balls on the table that you're always going to leave a shot at something. So Greg can send the white up the top end of the table, can take on a pot if he wants to, or he can just play a safety shot. But anywhere with the white travelling up towards the bulk end is going to leave things pretty safe. Electing just to perfect the cover of the bottom right hand corner pocket, or perfect it in at least so much as making absolutely sure that the black won't be going in there. Hasn't quite got the angle to play a double up and down the table, so same equation really. Can either throw his arm at something or just try and keep it safe. Well, tried to go for a double, that angle wasn't quite there. He was never going to straighten it up enough to actually pot that ball. So, pretty routine opportunity this for Greg Gamlin. These yellows spread out in almost a practice position. Obviously nothing is a complete formality when you're playing in the World Championships and got the pride of your country at stake. Very experienced player, Greg. He's been around on the UK tour for a number of years. Knows exactly what's required to win a frame from this kind of position. Making a pretty decent job of things so far. Looks like he fancies the job, Greg. He's struck that one in nicely. Got the two easy balls in the middle of the table, one hanging over the bottom right hand corner. Pretty hard to see where he's going to go wrong from here. Perhaps finished a touch straight on this yellow. He played the right shot to get up and down the table to try and get good position on it. If it's slightly off the cushion, he's okay. If it's tight to the cushion, he's... yeah, couldn't risk doing too much. Still not a problem because the yellow near the middle pocket's a pretty easy pot. The only slight problem now is that he's got a little bit of work to do on the positional side. It's good though, he was able to hold it. So just this delicate little one into the middle pocket, which comes round to see the angle. Should be no problem though. Black ball safely deposited. Good clearance from Greg Gamlin. Gets Scotland's second frame on the board. Scotland also in a fairly commanding position at the moment on the other table. Phil Craig has managed to manoeuvre his yellows over 3 of the corner pockets, leaving Ketan Naidu somewhat limited options. Doesn't really have to rush into anything here, Phil. He's got plenty of time in the sense that there's not much Ketan can do, but at the same time you do see frames turn around, so important to keep it tight. Really a great deal that Ketan can do at this point, because he's going to have to hit a red. He can't really afford to foul. That's not going to help. Really, I think he's just going to have to try and keep things pretty tight over the left-hand side table and just over the left-hand side of the table and stop Phil having a shot at the yellow, I was going to say, but now he's opened things right up. He's made a real mess of that. Not that there was, in fairness to him, any particularly easy option. So, simple clearance this for Phil Craig now. It's all looking pretty easy so far from Scotland. Stephen Brown just breaking off on the left table. He's up against Cobus Delport. He's dispatched 2 yellows off the break. Well, just a glimmer of hope here for South Africa. Phil Craig's just slightly overdone that positional shot. He's still got a clear shot at the black, but it's just a little more difficult than he'd have wanted. No problem though, dispatches it safely into the left centre. Handshake completes the formalities, and that's the 3rd frame in a row for Scotland. All one-way traffic at the moment. Stephen Brown on the left-hand side electing to go with the red balls. All looking pretty open, but it's just left himself slightly tricky here. No easy pot to go for. He's going to have to take the long one down the left-hand side. Well, plays it at pocket weight, but always wide of the pocket. Not the most inviting position as Cobus Delport comes to the table though. Although he's only got 5 yellows left, 4 of them are pretty much touching each other, so his options are actually pretty limited. Couldn't really do a great deal more. That's actually not turned out too badly because he's split out some of the yellows and got one of the reds safe, so that buys a little bit of time. So meanwhile, his compatriot Nazim Wassung goes to break off on the right-hand table. Ball's raining towards the pocket. That's a pretty good break. 3 yellows down. Not sure whether he can see the yellow. But he could potentially play into the bottom left-hand corner pocket as we currently look at it from the overhead shot. Otherwise we'll need to take reds instead. Either suit looks okay. Depends on the situation of the bottom left-hand corner pocket. Don't know that that yellow passes the red, which is going to make it a bit tricky. That may militate towards taking the reds. And that's what he is doing. So still okay. He's got the red to the, well, what would be the left centre, the top centre as we currently look at it. That nudge on the red, not strictly necessary, but has turned out pretty well. Promotes the ball in the right direction. Still a clear shot at it towards the corner pocket. Presentable opportunity this for South Africa. Not made any the easier by the fact they're 3-0 behind already, but that's not Nazim Wassung's fault. He's playing his first frame here, so he can start with a clean sheet. Yeah, it's just slightly overdone that, has he? Just this red to the bottom left-hand corner pocket does go, but I don't know that it's helped by that angle. Probably still okay to pot it. Might have to play it with a trace of side just to turn it over slightly. Yeah, just a trace of right-hand side, I think. Didn't try to do too much. Could perhaps have seen him try to do a little bit more with the positional side, because now he's left himself a little bit of a tester. He's going to have to take this long red on. One he'd expect to get, but does have a degree of difficulty about it. Yeah, just brushed the jaw there. That was enough to keep it out. You'd still rather be reds than yellows here, but at the same time, Nazim would have been keen not to let his opponent back to the table. And that opponent is Jerry Canning for Scotland. So Scotland at the table on both sides of the arena at the moment. Stephen Brown doing the honours on the left-hand table, Jerry Canning dealing with things on the right. Both of them with presentable opportunities. Stephen Brown, what's happened there? Has the ball come out, or has he just missed that? That looks an almost unmissable shot. If you've never watched Jerry Canning play before, one of the most distinctive features about him is the way he cues kind of between his fingers. He has a very unique bridge that I've never seen anyone else use before. When you first watch him play like that, it's easy to be lulled into thinking that it's a slightly strange technique that isn't going to work very well. But you only have to watch him play a few shots to realise just how well he's mastered it. Cue's kind of under his fingers. The odd thing about it is it doesn't appear to offer very much support. It doesn't really achieve the normal function of a bridge, which is to create some balance and somewhere to support the cue. On the whole, it's pretty effective for him, but here he's not going to be a fan of this outcome. He's ended up nestled tight up to this black. He was looking, of course, to leave himself a shot at the yellow, but now hasn't even left himself able to see the yellow. So Stephen Brown on the other side has composed himself after the somewhat strange miss or bounce out from the left-hand centre. You've got to concentrate on this. These ones where you're cutting a ball down the cushion, you've got to be careful that you don't brush the jaw on your way past, otherwise the ball will just hang there. No such problem there, right in the heart of the pocket. Just this relatively straightforward black to go. No mistake there, no mistake anywhere in fact for Scotland. 4 frames played, 4 frames on the board. South Africa yet to open their account. Got a good opportunity though on the right hand side. I see him Wassing look like he might be about to clear up off the break. Jawed the red that's currently hanging over the top right hand corner pocket as we look at it. But he's going to have some more chances. Jerry Canning's been snookered twice on this yellow, once by himself, once by his opponent. He's hit both of the snookers, but the problem is the yellow's just not in a position where it's going to pot at the moment, so keep nudging into it isn't really achieving very much. Wassing with the option of playing a safety, trying to get a snooker, or could potentially just go for the clearance here himself. Happy to leave it for a moment. Off of the cheeks from Jerry Canning. He's not a huge fan of the position he finds himself in. See, even off the side of the table he's cueing sort of between his fingers. Sure quite what Nassim's thinking is going to be here. Although I can kind of understand why he might be thinking it would be a good thing to get 2 shots. I don't think Jerry's going to move the black out for him, so in a sense he might be better just to go for these and look for an opportunity himself to get the black out. Well, strange looking shot that from Wassing. He got close enough to the pot that for a moment you thought he was going for it, but you've got to think from the position that he was playing that as a safety shot. It was just bumping the red round the angles. My only reservation with playing the game that Wassing is at the moment is that eventually he's risking Jerry Canning getting this yellow into a problematic position, for example covering the ball over the pocket. You've got to ask yourself, is it better just to go for the clearance while it's there? But I think having started down this path, we can assume that Wassing is going to continue with it. Gets a snooker this time. That's a pretty good shot, because although it's not the most difficult ball to hit if you were just to come off one cushion, you've got to be pretty careful with it, because If you hit it on the far left hand side, you plant the red in. If you hit it on the right hand side, you cannon the red in. Good shot though from Jerry Canning. Swerved round, came off the baulk cushion and then hit the yellow. My earlier observation still holds true though. I'm not sure quite what Wassing is hoping is going to happen here. Gives Jerry Canning another shot at this yellow, one of many that he's had. I still don't see him knocking the black out though, and that's the only thing that's standing between Wassing and victory here. If he's waiting to either get two shots or for his opponent to develop the black for him, I think he might be waiting a while. Albeit Jerry's options pretty limited here. So, as a result of repeatedly allowing him back to the table, Canning has got down to the black. This will prove whether Wassing's approach was right or not. If Canning manages to do something with this black, the answer will be no, but equally if he leaves it, and it is a rather tricky shot, then I guess he'll be proved right, because the reds are over the pocket, so if this black doesn't go in or get safe, the frame's going to be over. And speaking of frames which look like they're going to be over, Pat McCarron for Scotland over on the left hand side. It's lining up a presentable looking black. Safely deposited. Well, Jerry Canning furious with himself on the right table. Came very close to putting that black. Knows that the frame's over now though. Right, this is an important frame for South Africa to pick up. They've played 5, lost 5 so far. No real signs of getting themselves into this match, it has to be said. Nazim Wassing got this simple black though to get South Africa's first frame on the board. Makes no mistake this time. Disconsolate Jerry Canning shakes his head as he walks away. South Africa have pulled one back, they now trail by 1 frame to 5. So on to the final match of the first session. Three sessions of 7 frames of course being played here. Peter Dutoit of South Africa up to break. Big powerful break, balls moving around all over the table. One yellow's found its way down, but he's not going to like the position of the reds. That white fairly hemmed in there. And whilst he considers what to do there, we'll watch Darren Matthew break on the right hand table. Oh, well, he came so close to putting the white the first time, and then a ball's cannoneered in. So, Ketan Naidu with ball in hand. Only one visit, of course, after an in off the break, so put the cue ball anywhere behind the line. But doesn't have any extra shot in hand. So, Ketan just figure out where he wants to put the white. Picks out his spot. All these reds looking pretty accessible at the moment. Nothing really to do in terms of potting it, it's just a case of keeping control of the cue ball. It's got a nice angle off the red, he's just about to play top right to get the cue ball back towards the middle of the table or down towards the left hand end, depending on where he chooses to go next. The only thing you could see going wrong on this right hand side table is if he loses control of the white. Yes, and that's kind of what he has done. I didn't think when I said it that that would be where it would go wrong, because that was a pretty simple pot. He's ended up cannoning a red that he didn't really want to cannon. He's been slightly fortunate that he's still got a couple of other pots to go for, so got time to make amends for that. Well, it's one of those cases where you slip slightly out of position and then things just get harder and harder. From being in a position where every red on the table went, he's now in a position where the one near the black is pretty difficult and the one near the left-hand corner pocket, he can't see the potting angle. Not the best shot that. I think probably looking to swerve it and hit the red on his way down the table. Always knew that if he didn't quite get enough side on, he would come off the top cushion and hit it, but I don't think that's really helped him. Knocked the red a bit further away from the pocket now. Darren Matthews, a player that likes to get on with things. He's not going to get himself involved in a tactical battle that he doesn't have to. Meanwhile, Mike Clark takes advantage of the two shots he had to clear the table. Another one on the board for Scotland. After the first session of 7 frames, they lead by 6 frames to 1. Darren Matthew in customary style, making fairly short work of these yellows. Slips a little bit out of prime position though. So now I'm going to have to move the cue ball around a fair bit more than he originally planned to. Good cannon though. That could have gone a bit wrong if he'd have caught the wrong side of that yellow. He could have just slipped off it, but he's judged it almost to perfection. Got a fairly natural angle to come down the table, it's just a case of judging the pace. Well, that's an extravagant way of playing the shot, but that's pretty much the perfect position. Now, how does he get on this black? Can he just drop in behind it, or is he going to have to play a cannon on the black to hold position? Scott's looking very good value for the win at the moment, but we'll want to get as many frames as possible on the board. Well, I had to play a cannon and that's gone wrong. Oh, what a great double. Black got there just before the white did. The white looked like it was going to turn up and spoil the party for a moment. No problem in the end for Darren Matthew. He wins his second frame of the match. He wins Scotland's 7th frame. Scotland 7, South Africa 1. I don't think South Africa will have turned up tonight expecting this to be an easy match. And so I alluded to earlier on, they've not had the most successful of weeks. They've only had 2 victories out of the 8 matches that they've contested so far. But I think even they probably wouldn't have predicted a 7-1 scoreline against them. Greg Gamlin for Scotland on the left. He won his first frame as well, of course. Right hand side, Phil Craig breaks off. 3 balls potted, 2 reds and a yellow hit the back of the net. Witnessed some very good quality pool tonight in the team competitions. Our previous stream match was Wales against France. That was a cracking match. Both the quality of play and the speed of play were absolutely the top draw. Good fun atmosphere as well between Wales and France. A lot of joking between the supporters on opposite sides of the arena. And the players laughing and joking together as well. So far, a slightly more serious atmosphere, I think it's fair to say, between Scotland and South Africa. The Scottish are pretty loud and boisterous when they want to be. Not so much evidence of that so far. It's been largely business on the table. It's a race between the 2 Scottish players as to who can get the frame done first. It's going to be Greg Gamlin by a hair, but Phil Craig not very far behind. Looking pretty imperious at the moment. 9 frames that Scotland have racked up in 40 minutes or so of play. It's going to be a long road back here for South Africa. Don't think anyone could seriously see them winning this match, but playing for a degree of pride, playing for individual stats, and playing for frame difference in the increasingly unlikely event that they get themselves in contention for the knockout stages. That frame difference can make a big impact on things. Three sessions of 7 frames, as I mentioned, best of 21. Scotland additionally have 3 players on the bench: Matt Brannan, Willie Anderson and Scott Anderson. South Africa just fielding the straight team of 7, so slightly simpler position for their captain and manager. They don't have to consider any substitutions. It can sometimes be difficult. You almost have an embarrassment of riches. Scotland have got 10 players here, any of whom could be put in the starting 7. When you're only playing 3 frames each, it's not a lot of opportunity to make substitutions. Wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 of those players come in, but it's going to be hard to give them too many frames without dropping some of the other players who've already won. So, up next, Stephen Brown against Yadash Maharaj. Jerry Canning against Rasheen Bowers. A dry break on the left table. A yellow potted on the right table. Good view there of the arena. Another 10 tables in play immediately behind these two stream tables. Also in the Washington Suite at the other end of the hotel. Bunch more tables in play. A lot of pool being played here this week. If you're a pool fan, this is the place to be. At the end of June, beginning of July every year. For a few days, the best pool players in the world are in town. Need to make something happen here, South Africa. They've got both of their players at the table at the moment, so at least their fate is in their own hands, at least momentarily. Really too much to hang their hat onto so far, the South Africans. Only the one frame chalked up. Hard to maintain your enthusiasm where all your teammates are losing. Team spirit's a much easier thing to come by when you're winning. But then these are two pretty cohesive teams, so I don't think either will have too much trouble with that. So red hangs over the bottom left-hand corner on the left-hand table, which allows Jerry Canning back to the table. Over on the right-hand side, Yadash Maharaj still keeping control. Now, how does this look? Not ideal is the answer. Don't think that quite makes a plant. May be able to play the red off the cushion onto the red. Oh well, he could just squeeze it through. Goodness me, that was tight. From that angle that didn't look possible at all, but just narrowly squeezed past the yellow. Much better to play it like that. That's worked out really well. So just going to get the cue ball out now. Up for the black. 3 potential gaps he can go through. He can come straight back, he can go between the two yellows, or he can go behind and up the left-hand side cushion. That's when he does none of them and just cannon straight into one of the yellows. So, big shot this for Yadash Maharaj. Either way, the equation facing Stephen Brown is that he's got 6 balls on the table and his opponent's got the black hanging over the corner pocket, so he knows that he needs to make something happen. That shot on the left-hand side from Rasheen Bowers has opened things up somewhat. Still not a completely clear-cut opportunity for either player, but not too much tied up now. Jerry Canning's got a choice of 2 pots he can go for. Ultimately, the frame's going to be decided by what happens about the yellow that's nearest the black. Not quite sure what Stephen Brown's played there on the right hand table. It's made life a little bit difficult for himself now. Obviously can't afford to be leaving his opponent Stephen Brown any kind of shot at the black. So Stephen goes for the sensible option, plays the snooker. Well, actually played it well because he's cut off the one cushion escape off the right hand side, which would have been by far the easiest option. Yadesh Maharaj with a bit to think about here. Any kind of touch on the right hand side of the black is going to pot it, but that kind of touch isn't that easily achieved from where he is. So he may be playing off 2 or 3 cushions here. Well, he'll certainly settle for that. Got the black really properly over the corner. If Stephen Brown had any intentions of sliding one of those yellows up the cushion past it, they've now long evaporated. So the deliberate foul from Jerry Canning, or a foul certainly. Not sure whether he was looking to just cover that or whether he was looking to play it in. I think that was probably the right shot to just play it in, because he leaves his opponent 2 shots here with a simple starter, but then he's still going to do something with those other 2 reds and with the black. So he's gone out of this once. Well, good shot there from Yadesh Maharaj. Ultimately got left too straightforward a snooker. Able to come off the one cushion, made contact with the black, and as I suggested, any contact on the right hand side was going to pot it. So a valuable lifeline for South Africa. They pull 1 back. Still 7 frames behind though. Scotland 9, South Africa 2. May not be the scoreline for very long though, because Jerry Canning, as you can see, has just been gifted 2 visits from this very presentable opportunity. This yellow does cut. If he feels like he's losing the white, he'll just set the ball up, which is what he's done. No mistake there from Jerry Canning. A couple of scrappy moments in this frame, but it's the man from Scotland that chalks it up. Scotland get the 8-frame lead going again. Now they're just 1 frame from victory. They lead South Africa by 10 frames to 2. Peter Dutoit there breaking off. best of splits. Most of the balls have moved fairly well, but it's got a couple clustered together. It's going to make life quite difficult. Spotted a red off the break, so choice of colours, opts for the yellow, which is no surprise at all. Now, he could, in playing this yellow, cannon into the red and yellow together on the left-hand side. Although he may feel that's not a necessary risk because still the cluster at the bottom of the table. Meanwhile, over the other side, Mike Clark breaks off for Scotland, his opponent Nazim Wasung. Well, good pot from Peter Dutoit, but not a good outcome. Taking his time to think what he's going to do over on the right. This is a pretty tight snooker that he's got himself into. It's annoying enough when your opponent puts you in this position, but when it's self-inflicted, it's even more frustrating. Well, if the frame on the right's going to take a while. Looks like the frame on the left might be a bit quicker. Pretty good opportunity this for Mike Clark, although he's just grimacing slightly because he's got himself into a slightly awkward queuing position. If that red ball wasn't there immediately behind the cue ball, this would be so straightforward. He'd be able to just pot this ball bottom right and screw across to the left-hand side of the table for the other one. Don't know that he can see enough of the white to play that shot now, though. Yeah, can he screw across? Well, not quite. See, that's the difference between being hampered and being able to get your hand on the table. You get your hand on the table, that shot's pretty much unmissable for a player of his quality, and you've got a lot of options on the positional side. As soon as you start queuing down on it, it just makes the whole thing so much harder. Nazim Wasung, one of the two South African players to have won a frame so far. I'd dearly love to become the first to win 2 frames. Still, the one-way traffic continues. Pat McCarron slots the black home. Scotland taking 11 frames, 2 leads, which means they've won the match. Best of 21 frames, 11 frames seals the deal. They get the points, but the match will still continue. Frame difference, frame percentage can be important in the final reckoning. So all these group stage matches carry on and play the full complement of frames. Once we reach the knockout stages, the match would be over at this point. Still 7 frames to be started, 13 in the books, and one on going on the left-hand side. Just about to start the final session of play. So Yadesh Maharaj is just racking up the balls on the right-hand side. He'll be getting things underway shortly against Darren Matthew. Frame on the left-hand table. It's got a little bit scrappy since Mike Clark slipped out of position. Looks for a while like he was in good shape to clear up, but his opponent's been afforded something of a lifeline. I wouldn't say he looks entirely confident still of the position. Well, interesting stance this from Yadesh Maharaj as he breaks off. Doesn't have the cue quite as tight to the body as most players do. Whether or not the technique's to blame, the end result is that he hasn't potted a ball, so Darren Matthew bounds over to the table. He's won 2 frames already tonight, and he senses that a third one might be on the way. Another decent shot from Nazim Wessing. Looks like he could still get the job done.
Evening, Mark.
Evening, Joe. Joe Fanto, President of the World 8-Ball Pool Federation, stepping into the commentary box to join me.
Just thought I'd pop in and have a look at some of the action and say hello to our viewers around the world.
Yeah, it's been a decent match so far. They've got through these first 13 frames pretty swiftly. It's been fairly heavy going though for the South Africans. They're lying towards the bottom of the table, and you can kind of see why from some of the shots that have been played.
They're struggling, are they? And
Yeah.
I guess the live stream maybe created a few nerves for some of them as well.
Yeah, the Scots have looked pretty assured. They've been rattling through the frames. The South Africans, it's all just looked a bit more laboured. Even the 2 that they've won have not really been straightforward for them. And that miss by Nazim on the left table, pretty disappointing one. Looked to have done a fair bit of the hard work, but now he's gifted Mike Clark another chance. The match already gone, of course. Scotland have reached the magic figure of 11.
Yeah, so they've just got to play it out for the frames.
Yeah, and I think this is a tough ask for South Africa because they're not really in a position to qualify for the knockout stages now, so hard to motivate themselves for this, although personal pride's still important for all of them.
Of course, and they should show a bit of their talents now with a bit of freelance cueing.
Yeah,
A nice relaxed arm.
Yeah, so arguably it matters less, so it makes it a bit easier. The match started off very quickly indeed. Scotland had the first 4 frames on the board in about 10 minutes. The pace of players slowed down a little bit since then.
But it looks like South Africa haven't been able to give a yield. Is the score a true indication of the difference between the 2 teams this evening?
Yeah, I mean, South Africa could easily have won a couple more frames, but Scotland have unquestionably been the better team. South Africans have just kind of looked like the underdogs. They've played a few good shots, but
Just a good shot.
yeah, that is a good shot. Just too many nervous moments. Scotland in pretty much every frame have looked the more likely ones to get the job done. Mike Clark on the left has played a lot of good shots, but he's just slightly struggled for the white on a couple of occasions. He was clearing up, but then he got himself hampered and has had to scrap it out for the last few minutes.
Quite often it's okay to be competitive during a frame, but it's those last couple of shots to close out a frame which are the more difficult normally.
Yeah, that's been the story of this match really. The South Africans have been in first a few times, but Just haven't quite got the job done. As you can see, just getting a bit scrappy, this left-hand frame. Neither players quite looking at the moment like they're going to take the ball by the horns and pot these remaining balls. You can see a lot of body movement on the right hand side, trying to steer the ball into the centre pocket. Didn't quite work. Darren Matthews won 2 frames already tonight and has been pretty ruthless. You can see these balls going pretty quick.
3-time junior world champion.
Yes, for a while he was unstoppable in that junior tournament.
I thought he was going to be a Superman.
Yes, in a sense he maybe hasn't pressed on quite as much as you'd have expected, but he's still won a lot of stuff.
He still plays a pretty mean game when he switched on, and most of the time in the team event he is.
Yeah, he's looked like clearing up any time he's had a decent chance at it tonight.
Just like now, this just looks elementary for him.
Yeah, I mean, even now you don't fancy him missing this. It's a bit more difficult than it might be, but makes no mistake.
Straight down.
So the one-way traffic continues. Scotland 12, South Africa 2.
These 2018 World Championships men's team event. So I guess this is getting into the latter of the round-robin stages.
Yes, it is. There's 12 teams in the league. Most of the teams have now played 8 or 9 matches, so this will be the 9th or 10th for these guys. So only 1 or 2 more to go after this. Scotland currently lying 6th in the standings. South Africa a bit further down in 11th place at the moment. This is the one player though for South Africa that's keeping their end up. And as Ian Wassung won his first frame, he's now won his second frame, providing some faint air of respectability to the scoreline. Still 9 frames behind, but at least they've got 3 on the board now. Scotland 12, South Africa 3.
So there's 12 teams in the competition, and most of them have played 9 or 10. So the leaders are England, Wales, Ireland, Australia, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, England and Wales look to be running away with it at the top.
And the bottom 6 are India, France, Malta, South Africa, Mauritius, Reunion Islands.
So Ketan Naidu in play against Greg Gamlin on the right hand side. Shortly coming up on the left hand side, Phil Craig against Cobus Delport.
So after this evening there's only 2 days left. We're into the business end of another World Championship. This is the 26th one being held.
The 26th one, and about the second one where the weather's been good in Blackpool when everyone's come.
That's spot on. And it's certainly gone fairly smoothly. I think it's worked well with the men's singles at the start, from a playing logistics point of view.
Yes, a new format this year, the order somewhat inverted. Often we have the team competition first and then the men's singles, but it's been done the other way around this year.
And then of course the Masters being on that weekend as well. And the opening ceremony being on the Sunday evening.
And of course this going back to back with the UK Tour, which was down in Birmingham the weekend before that, so some players playing it as a double header.
It was a good value for the Australians because a lot of them were able to come down early and take in that tournament as well. So they had a feast of 8 all over a matter of 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite welcome that. I very often find when I leave a tournament, I kind of finally feel in good form. You get a lot of match play in a short period, so having 2 tournaments in a row is kind of nice. You get yourself played in the first one, and then you've still got 1 to play for.
Yeah. In fact, it's 3 because they've got the World Championship singles and the Masters here, and plus that tournament in Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, a feast of pool.
And something like about £70,000 prize money in all.
Yeah, it's going to be a good couple of weeks for some people. It's been a good couple of weeks for the South Africans, but just slightly disappointing in terms of results. They look to have had a good time and they've played some good stuff, but just struggling for the wins at the moment. Trouble is, there's so many strong teams out there that you just don't get very easy matches to get going. This one, they found themselves 4-0 down before they'd really done anything, and it's kind of got away from them since then.
Yes, by the time you get here, there's not much room for improvement. You've got to hit the road running.
Yeah, I mean, you see teams like England and Wales, it's absolutely ruthless. So, Cobus Delport at the table on the left-hand side. He hasn't had too much to show for his evening's work so far. He's lost his first 2 frames. Although he's certainly not alone in being in that position. Unfortunately, a number of his teammates are also in that boat. They seem to have found Scotland in pretty good form tonight.
For the sake of any viewers joining us for the first time, we're coming to you from the Imperial Hotel here in Blackpool in England. These are the 2018 World Championships of 8-ball pool, played under World 8-ball Pool Federation rules.
This is our final live streamed match of the day. Been a pretty solid day of pool. 2 more solid days to come, culminating on Friday with the various finals. Showpiece event, of course, at 1 o'clock will be the men's individual final and the ladies' individual final, being played for the first time in parallel. We've got these 2 stream tables, so they're going to be played next to each other. Should be a great atmosphere for that. The plan is to remove some of the tables from the back of the room, put in a bit more seating to accommodate the spectators. Right now, though, there's a lot of pool still being played. You see 10 tables in play behind this one. And there's another load of tables down the other end of the hotel. Plenty of matches still going on tonight. This is kind of getting to the stage that matters for everyone. This is where the final participants in the knockout stages are being determined. So, could this be South Africa's 4th frame? Courtesy of Cobus Delport.
Certainly all there for him, just this red to take. Just come around for the black.
Struggled a bit in the early frames, but he's taken these nicely.
Nice and steady in the middle. And South Africa pick up another frame. They creep up to 4, and they trail by 8 frames. Scotland 12.
Things got a little bit more bogged down on the right hand side. They've got balls clustered around the bottom right hand corner pocket as we look at it. Greg Gamlin, who's playing for Scotland, has won both of his first 2, so he's looked in pretty good form so far.
And that red dropped in the right table.
So, Greg Gamlin with the 2 shots, but a little bit of work to be done. Really needs to find a way of getting both the red and the black out here if possible. Now, how's his luck? It's not bad. The black's finished a bit close to that red for comfort, but the other two reds are in good position, and at least he's got a clear sight of this one. Well, I'm saying it's Greg Gamlin. It's quite plainly not. He was the one that was on the team sheet, but being a substitution. Young Anderson in his place.
Scotland are going to chalk up another frame now.
Yeah, made the most of his substitute appearance. So Scotland chalk up their 13th frame. South Africa languishing back on 4 still. Stephen Brown breaks off for Scotland on the left-hand side, but a shake of the head as he deposits the cue ball into the centre pocket. So first look at the table for Peter du Toit. He's had some moments in his earlier frames. He made a battle of it, but couldn't quite get across the line. So this is going to be his last chance tonight. Well into the final session of play now. 17 frames in the books, 4 still to be completed.
So things are starting to happen in Africa now. They're talking of an All-African Nations Cup happening in November this year, which will be great for pool in Africa. And South Africa have also announced that they have now managed to win back their colours, so to speak, by the authorities, which I believe is the national authorities in South Africa, which is a big thing for them and their sport. So basically they're recognised by the equivalent of South Sports Commission in their country.
Yeah, pool's a big sport in South Africa.
Definitely.
Bigger than you'd
and
think.
in Africa.
Yeah,
Africa
indeed.
in general. And a lot of our game is played in Africa. A lot of pool. Australia's been very fortunate over the years to have many a test match series with South Africa. I remember in the late 90s, it was 96, 97, 98. Again in 2013, we travelled to South Africa, and there were several trips by South African teams to Australia as well, at least 3 or 4 that I can remember. So it's been a great relationship, great sporting relationship that we've had.
Yeah, they've been well received, these test matches that we've been resurrecting in recent years. As you say, some of the English lads going down to, and lasses I think, going down to Australia soon.
Yes, that'll be in October for our national titles in Albury Wodonga, which is on the border of New South Wales and Victoria. It's quite a massive town on the border with wonderful facilities. It's just a massive community club that has several bars, lots of eateries, entertainment at night, and I won't mention the I don't know whether you call them slot machines here in England.
Yes,
but,
indeed.
the main thing is it's a community club, and they've really decided to look after the pool. We had the Nationals there just a few years ago, and they were really warm to us, and they were amazed at how well our people were behaved, and of course they were amazed at how much was spent in their club.
So they've welcomed you back with open arms.
They kind of started to make some offers, which I think should be great for pool in Australia.
Yeah, I mean it's such a big country. Of course, it's a difficult business having guess trying to get everyone together for your nationals. Everyone's travelling some pretty long distances.
That's right. And on that eastern seaboard, there's quite a few of the states and territories where it's not very far to get there. And they've actually put in a system now to give some compensation to to Western Australia, and I think the Northern Territory as well. Don't quote me, because they would be travelling the furthest.
Yeah, Perth is a pretty long way from everywhere.
It is. It's, if you're talking, well, Perth now, you've got a direct flight to London.
Yeah, that's a long old flight, isn't it?
That's how far it is from the east coast of Australia.
I think it's nearer to Singapore, isn't it, than to Sydney?
Oh yeah, it's near. Yes, that's right. It's nearer to Singapore than it is to Sydney. No, they're certainly looking forward to the Lions going down to Australia again. It creates a lot of interest, not just the pool and the competition. It's great from that point of view, but just the camaraderie that it creates between England and Australia. You know, all the players, they love to mingle with the English players, and this is the first time that a ladies team is going to venture down to Australia.
Yeah, that's a very welcome addition. Just following the action here, have you ever seen anyone cue like Jerry Canning does? This match on the right hand side. It's an extraordinary technique. He's kind of under his hand rather than on top of it. You can't quite figure out how he's balancing the cue. He's kind of having to take all the weight with his cueing hand. Very effective with it though. Sounds like things are getting quite boisterous out in the arena as well, as you always expect with a match involving Scotland.
Quite a few teams playing at the moment. And of course, from an Australian point of view, we kind of take to the competition against England just as serious as the cricketers do in the Ashes series.
Yes. Yes, the old rivals. Every sporting competition between those two countries is a hard-fought encounter.
And of course in Australia itself we've got a rivalry, a big rivalry just between two states, and that's been between Victoria and South Australia. That's in virtually every code. Every type of sport, there's that big rivalry between Victoria and South Australia for some reason. In the rugby, they've got it with New South Wales and Queensland.
Yeah, it's funny how these things develop. An important part of every sport.
Because at the end of the day, sport is all about interaction of people. You know, a common love of a particular sport. But in order for it to be successful, you need people involved, both as players, as administrators, as spectators.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the nice thing about this tournament. You see so many people from different nationalities mingling around the place. As you say, that common love of pool gives them something to get talking about.
I think it's wonderful.
And of course, England and Australia has so many cultural similarities. People always love travelling between the two countries. I find that everyone over here thinks the grass is greener and wants to live in Australia. I did live in Australia briefly, and everyone over there seemed to want to come over here. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say everybody, but yeah, it is a bit like that. But we're both fortunate to have two well-organised countries. Both have become very multicultural. So this match now is going through the motions, coming to a conclusion.
Lucas Venter in good shape here on the right hand side. Just as I say that, of course, he misses a simple yellow.
The commentators mockers.
I don't think I'd even finish the sentence before he chopped that ball into the jaw. That was a slightly unnecessary miss, to be honest. He didn't really have to do a lot with the ball there.
I guess it's getting late at night. He just seemed to come up from the shot very quickly.
It's normally a good cueist, Lucas
Very
Venter.
easy done.
Yeah, isn't it just, particularly with all your teammates shouting support behind you. Whilst that support is very welcome, it does add a degree of pressure. Well, Lucas hasn't been punished for that immediately. Has he got any kind of angle on? It looks like he's looking at this one first. You'd think that one near the middle pocket, if he had any kind of, he's a bit straight on it. Well, he's got the snooker there. Actually, that red isn't in the perfect place to hit because it's making quite a big pocket coming up and down. For that reason, Jerry Canning's got no interest whatsoever in trying to come off and hit it. Plays the deliberate foul instead. It's not without its problems though, because Lucas has got 2 shots here. All he's got to do is get this yellow out.
He's really only got one problem ball. This ball near the right cushion, halfway up. I guess it's not easy into the middle, but if you can play a good shot, his first shot there. So he's playing. Yes, this.
So over on the right hand side, Lucas Venter uses his first shot to free up the yellow. He's now got one visit to clear these remaining 3 balls up. So needs to hold himself together here. This is not a difficult shot, but it needs to be cued still.
It's a nice shot.
And assuming this yellow pots in the middle, which it clearly does.
Pretty sure it does.
Yeah, that's turned out pretty well. The cue ball's going to be moving around a bit. It's going to have a bit of work to do if he wants to get near to the black.
It shouldn't go too far though, because you can basically take that yellow into the, as we look at it, the right side of the pocket, which means the white shouldn't run too far and not too. Oh, he's gone hard. Wanted to play with spin, so now he's got to put this in the middle from that position, which is still doable.
Yeah, he had no choice but to go on and off the baulk cushion there, but he's slightly overdone that. Looks so easy from this overhead shot, but this is very tight.
He's chosen to play snooker instead.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
Which is sensible. It's a
probably too tight to take it on. Seduced into it by the overhead view, but if you're standing behind it, you realise how hard it is.
And when you've got a shot like that available to you.
Yeah, that snooker had to be played though. It wasn't a natural shot exactly to judge it. Jerry Canning knows the significance of this. If he can hit this red in such a way that he doesn't leave an easy shot on the black, he's still well in this frame. But if he misses the red, he's pretty much guaranteed to lose it. Oh, he's coming in front of it. Yeah, he knows. He throws his hand up in despair. He knows this frame's over now. So Lucas Venter's needed a couple of chances, but pulls out a good black at the end.
South Africa pull back another frame to get 5 on the board. And they trail 5-14 against Scotland in this round robin match at the 2018 World Championships. men's team event. Coming to you from the Peru Hotel in Blackpool, England. Live stream, WPF. Of course, our production manager, Yvonne Armitage, doing a wonderful job with her able assistant and Stan Grant. Of course, these championships are put on by the English Pool Association. They are the hosts, and they're sanctioned under the auspices of the World 8 Ball Pool Federation.
Yeah, we've got a lot to thank Yvonne and Stan for. This has been a long week for both of them. Yvonne's been working tirelessly on the streaming as well as a lot of the other admin.
And of course, Stan is table engineer, so he makes sure that all the tables and all the electrical work are in perfect working order and in place by the start of the tournament. And of course, we forget that at the end, it's all got to go out again.
Well, he racked those, Pat McCarran's thinking. The answer is he racked them himself, but that's a terrible break. The balls didn't move at all.
They must have been glued down.
I think the fact that the scoreline's 14-5, he's going to care significantly less than he would otherwise, but still pretty frustrating when you get these frames where you're chipping balls around for hours.
They're just about worth another hit. We're going to have another break here on that table. Let's have a look. Yes, that's a good idea.
Yes, doesn't want to be here all night.
You must have heard me.
I think actually just to correct the score, I think our graphic may be one ahead of itself there. I make it 13-5 at the moment. Yeah, we've got that correct now. So there's these two frames in play and then one more to come after this. That will wrap up the 21 frames for tonight. I don't know if Pat McCarran would necessarily have played that shot like that had they been playing a decider or a slightly more important frame, but given they're 13-5 up, he just wants to get the balls open and get them potted.
Oh, that just a bit too firm.
Yeah, that couldn't have been much closer there, could it?
Sort of ran around the pocket.
So, Naseem Wassing is the only South African player with a 100% record so far. Can he maintain that record here? It's not exactly rushed around the table. The two frames that he's won, he's taken a fair bit of time. He's had to kind of grind them out the long way. Still, the scoreboard doesn't give marks for artistic merit, so I'll be happy to take them where they come. Stephen Brown on the left-hand table, also not in much of a hurry. Just digging in, he's got himself into a slightly awkward position. He's got a ball tight to his opponent's ball over the bottom left-hand corner, which is causing him some grief at the moment. Just played a good shot there, though. If he'd have left a shot at this yellow, he'd have been in trouble. But
And of course, anybody that wants to look at all the scores, they can go to wepf.org and follow the icons on the left of the home page, and you'll be able to go to the various events that you want to look at. All of the results or the ladders, which I think they're called tables. When you click on the icon, there'll be another series of icons. You go to I believe it's statistics, and then one of those options, when that all comes up, will give you a click on a table, which you can have a look at exactly where all the teams are standing. But if you go to wepf.org and play around with it, you'll soon find them. It's quite easy. The results of every frame played since these World Championships commenced on Wednesday of last week.
Unfortunately, those stats aren't going to make for particularly happy reading for the South Africans at the moment.
No, but they're here and competitive and enjoying their pool.
Yes, that's absolutely the main thing. They've come a long way for this. Given a good account of themselves, it's not by any means that they've been getting whitewashed in these matches, but they've just been struggling a bit like this one just to get over the line in a few frames.
And of course they've been playing now since 9 o'clock. So the match has been going about an hour and 25 minutes, so they're certainly putting up a fight, even though the frames are not ticking over for them.
So Pat McCarron there just caught the black on the way through with that shot, so that's 2 visits away.
So white ball disappeared on the left table.
Yes, I assume that was a deliberate foul by the South African player. So the equation here for Stephen Brown is that he can put the cue ball anywhere in baulk that he likes, but he's got to play a legal shot involving this yellow, and it's going to be very hard to do that without potting the red in the process. Although it has to be said, it's a lot easier to do that with the ball in hand than it would be if the cue ball hadn't gone in.
Yeah, he's placed it so that he can come off the cushion at an angle and hopefully bring out the yellow without disturbing the red.
Just got to be careful not to get too far behind the yellow, because then you'll pot the red.
Yeah, he's done that well. All he needs is a good lie.
That's pretty good. You can chip this in, the white will naturally come round 3 cushions. Should leave himself a shot at the black. And if he does go on to win this frame, it'll be an example of how you should always stick on in there, because Scotland have not been in a promising position in this frame for several minutes now, but Stephen Brown's kept battling.
It's nicely done. He's now in a good position to pot that black.
I think Peter Dutoit will be looking at this wondering how he's managed to lose this frame from the position he was in a moment ago. The answer is that he went in off when he shouldn't have done.
So South Africa pick up their 6th frame.
No, unfortunately not.
Only 5?
Yeah, no, Scotland won that one on the left.
Sorry,
So.
yeah, of course. Scotland won that one, 14. So 14-5. We're talking about how South Africa should have won it.
Yeah, absolutely. The scoreline should be 13-6, but unfortunately he went in off, so it's not. So
These are the 2018 World Championships, and this is men's team event coming to a conclusion this evening. So 19 frames out of 21 have been completed, and one in progress and another one about to start, which will be the last 2 frames for the evening in this match.
looks like the frame on the right hand side of the arena could be nearing a conclusion. And if it does, Nassim Wasung can leave the arena with his head held high, because he's on 100% at the moment, and he'll keep that record if he can just find a path through to the black here. This looks a pretty good line.
It's an excellent shot.
Oh, what a good shot that is. It's pretty much exactly where he was looking at dropping this black into the top centre pocket.
And that's great play by South Africa. Now it's the 6th frame for South Africa.
Well, hats off to Nazim Wessing. That's 3 from 3 tonight on an evening when his team's only won 6 frames in total, so
It's a great effort.
he's been the man carrying them. So that's the end of play on the right hand side of the arena, just this 1 frame left. Mike Clark of Scotland takes on Rasheen Bowers of South Africa. In fact, you can see it's the last frame of pool left in play in the whole room. Pat McCarron of Scotland just knocking up on the table. His playing duties are finished with for tonight though. So the remaining duty will be to shake hands with his opponent. Pretty open position on the table on the left. These yellows all go now. Well, it did all go. That shot has somewhat spoilt that plan, as it was intended to.
It's a nice putt inside the red.
Yeah, this would be a good frame for South Africa to win. 14-7 would be probably a fair reflection of the play and would at least give them a few frames on the board. 15-6 would be a fairly tough scoreline for them. Yeah, that's not gone quite right. He was looking to come across and cannon out the yellow that's stuck in the top left-hand corner of the table. Just going to have to think of a new plan for that one now.
So let's see if South Africa can get this last frame.
It's all about getting onto the ball on the left-hand side cushion or cannoning it out. So you've got the angle to get in, hit it off the side cushion here. Well,
Far too hard, but he's been fortunate.
Well, he made the
Like a
angle.
reprieve.
Yes, the angle wasn't there if he'd deposited the ball where he was supposed to. Well, he's got a reprieve, but he's still got a problem.
He's got a problem with his next ball though. As to what he's going to pot. He's got to try more of what he just did.
Yeah, he can either go for an aggressive double, could potentially try and double this into the middle pocket, but that's never a high percentage shot. Well, that's what he tried to do, but missed it by a few inches in the end. Those doubles are pretty tricky. Off the top cushion into the middle pocket, they're pretty hard to judge. So Mike Clark on 50% so far. Won his first one, lost his second one. So could be a chance to put that second frame behind him. These reds will now go. Finished it a little bit straight, I think, on this ball.
Should be able to just come off the cushion. Really needed to play that a bit flatter with a bit of just through the middle of the ball to try and kick it off the cushion. So now he's got a little bit of an issue with the bridging on the cushion.
Yes, I don't know if you can see the ball. If you can see the ball over the top right-hand corner pocket as we look at it. He's trying to off the cushion.
I was going to say he's got that ball over the pocket that he can take.
Yeah, that's kind of helped to resurrect the situation. He's now in decent position. He's got a bit of an angle. Just wants to screw out towards the baulk line. And he can take the other one that's at this end of the table before going down for the other two last.
Yeah, I was going to say if he cues similar on this one, he's going to come out nicely. He can stun across for these two balls.
So, just one good shot here needed. The cue ball's going to naturally come on and off the left-hand side cushion. It's going to be a fairly natural position for the last red.
It's a nice hit. He's on the last red. Just screws back slightly. He's got the black in the middle.
Well, still easy enough, but he's left himself under a bit more pressure than he needed to. No problem though.
Black.
So Scotland ultimately prevailed by 15 frames to 6. Good quality match. It started off very quickly. It slowed down a bit towards the middle. Some of the frames got a bit scrappier. South Africa never really got a foothold in it. They showed moments of the pool they can play, particularly in the shape of Nazim Wasung, who came up with a very creditable 3 from 3. The others though, slightly disappointing stat.
And it's certainly a good win for Scotland in shaping their charge for the finals.
Thank you for your company tonight. We'll be ending the streaming for this evening. We'll be back in the morning with a good selection of pool. We hope you can join us then.
And that's it from the 2018 World Championships men's team event for today, and that's it for live streaming. Look forward to your company tomorrow when Mark Shepherd and myself, Joe Fanto, will be back to bring you some more commentary. Thank you for viewing.